I am indeed.
Okay,
I am.
folks, we are doing a combination. I'm not on. Are we on the radio? But we're also on my Facebook page. So feel free to um, to listen to us and check us out there. So I'd like to at this point, what I'd like to do is to introduce you to Miss Kim Prince. She's the co-owner of Hotville Chicken. Hotville actually is Hotville started December of 2019, and so right at the beginning of the teeth of this pandemic, they opened their doors, and it's out in Los Angeles. It has had such great success. This is a testament to when you've done well that the New York Times wrote an article. The New York Times flew all the way across the country to write an article on a fried chicken place in LA. And I know my listeners are curious to hear more about this. So, Kim, welcome to the program.
Thank you very, very much.
So, tell us a little bit about Hotville Chicken.
Yeah, sure. Hotville Chicken is actually a business that started in 2016 as a pop-up restaurant here in Los Angeles. I left Nashville, Tennessee in 2013 with this big, bold idea of being the first in my family, the Prince family, out of Nashville, to leave and go off into this food venture. And so around the summer of 2016, I actually formalized Hotville Chicken. And, the name Hotville Chicken came from just a mashup of the hot chicken and homage to Nashville. And the brand is actually taken off much quicker and with more traction and following than I ever imagined. And I'm grateful for that. But those pop-ups that I started led me to meeting my co-owner and business partner, Greg Doolin, who owns Doolin Soul Food. He's been on your show a couple of times. And
Absolutely.
that partnership has garnered a business that not only has been pandemic proof, but we're making some grand strides in the Los Angeles area, particularly our specific community, the Crenshaw Baldwin Hills community. We are frying a lot of chicken. I could tell you that much. The business is going well, and
Well, well, let me do this for folks who don't know when you say hot chicken, because
yeah.
down here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, I have not run into any hot chicken. So explain to folks what hot chicken is.
Okay, there's some hot chicken in may not be in Fayetteville, but I know there's hot chicken
In North
somewhere.
Carolina, I'm sure there's somewhere in North Carolina. But
Absolutely,
what is hot chicken?
North Carolina, sure. Nashville Hot Chicken was started by my family, the Prince family. Around 1936, we opened up the first Nashville Hot Chicken Shack in Nashville, Tennessee. Here's the story, and those who are listening probably heard it before, but you're hearing it from the horse's mouth. And my great great uncle was a very handsome man. He had a lot of women that were attracted to him, and one of the mistresses that he had got back at him by putting cayenne pepper all over his chicken. The process of frying that chicken is something that my family has provided a process to do volume with it. But my great great uncle and his brothers, my great grandfather Boyd Prince was one of them, and they opened up a restaurant based on what this woman did to him. And so it was a vengeful tale that burned his tail, and he liked it. I always quote that because people are so amused by the fact that when a person's in the doghouse, you never know what kind of tactics a woman will pull on you. So we
Okay.
give credit to her, but the Prince family is awarded and recognized as the first. We own Prince's Hot Chicken Shack in Nashville, Tennessee. Um, Prince's Hot Chicken Shack is run by my aunt Andre Prince in Nashville, and we've got 2 locations there, working on the third. They also recently opened up another location, the first time outside of the state of Tennessee. Prince's Hot Chicken is in Greenville, South Carolina, at a brewery called Yeehaw, and that just opened up in November. 2020.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so that's
and so you took hot chicken to the West Coast.
yes, I did. I mean, I can't say that I'm the first to ever do Nashville Hot Chicken on the West Coast. I'm the first in my family to do so. Well, I'll take that back. My father played around with doing Nashville Hot Chicken back in the 80s when we were living here before. And my father would cook it up for his friends and church guests, and for his school. He did a couple festivals. I know there's an article coming out soon about some more research on our family and what we've done across the country doing Nashville Hot Chicken. But it's spicy fried chicken for the most part. It's fried chicken, and it's not just fried chicken with a sauce on the side. That's not authentic Nashville Hot Chicken. Nashville Hot Chicken is fried spicy. It's fried
Mhm.
that, and it has a lot of kick and punch. It's not like just Red Rooster or Crystal Hot sauce. That's not it. There's no vinegar in it. It packs a powerful punch. And at Hotville, we use different varying levels of heat and different pepper blends. And I'm using a lot of the hottest peppers that are known to mankind right now. So we can go anywhere from one pepper in our Cali mild all the way up to about 5 pepper blends in our hot.
And I can attest to the fact that I'm a person who, because of having some connection to the West Indies and pepper sauce, thought that I could handle heat. But I just want you
I
to know
remember.
that when I go to Nashville, I'm a Cali mild kind of guy. Because you got West Coast plain, Cali mild, Music City medium, and Nashville hot. I cannot touch that hot or that medium. It is. But I have been in there and seen folks literally slurping down the chicken and perspiring at the same time, and and
Absolutely.
and people just loving it.
It's almost it's been a tribute to being an out of body experience. The sweat is one of the first bodily reactions that you get. You get your hair on the back of your neck stands up. You start sweating at the top of your scalp. Luckily for you, you don't have a huge coif on top of your head, so you don't have to mess your hair up. But sweating is part of it. The burning sensation in your mouth. But the key to what we do is making sure that the seasoning, the flavor is in the chicken. So and it's not just something to burn your face off for the heck of saying it.
Right,
So hot
right.
chicken is a lot of places have opened up and they're just dousing a bunch of pepper all over your chicken, and they're not frying it properly. So I don't know that they've earned the entitlement to use the name Nashville on top of it. So, but we wear that badge with pride, and we're doing our best to make sure that the family legacy is continued and recognized. So I appreciate the time to talk about it.
Well, I want to focus on the fact that this is a multi-generational business, because
Indeed, indeed.
it's so rare. And some basic statistics here: something like 13% of businesses make it from the first to the second generation, and then it falls to under 4% of businesses can make it from the second to the third generation. And if my
Wow.
math is good, you're either fourth or fifth generation.
Absolutely, you're right. You're right. The first business started in 1936, and I am fourth generation Prince, and the next generation is in the kitchen. Uh,
Okay.
with me. They're along that next generation is right there in the kitchen with me, and in Nashville, just the same, uh, down to the sixth generation of being in the kitchen at my aunt's restaurant in Nashville. Her great granddaughter is already milling about in the kitchen, and her granddaughter as well. My nieces and nephews have all worked at the restaurant. My own daughter helps me out at the restaurant, and it's not a forced thing, and I'm glad to say that the siblings in my family, I remember as a kid, being dragged down there, but it was a pleasure to go. Um, we look forward to the weekends at the restaurant. We lovingly call it the Shack. It was a gathering spot. It was the watering hole. It's the place that everybody went. You caught up on biz and the tea, what was happening in town. And over the years, I've always heard stories of of the restaurant or the shack being that place where everybody gathered. And when Hotville Chicken started here in LA, that was one of my visions, is making sure that Hotville Chicken was a beacon, a place of that would kind of magnetize and bring people together. And that's exactly what we've been able to do here in Los Angeles. And I'm proud of that.
So talk to me about how things have transpired during the pandemic. I know that well, and hold on, let me stop here for a second. To the station, if you would like to take a break here at the bottom of the hour and come back, you can give me heads up there. So either we're going to hear music in a second, and this is a question for after the break, or we'll just address it now. I'm curious to learn about a couple things. A is how have you pivoted as a result of the pandemic? Because you came out of the blocks like gangbusters in December of 2019 into January. So I'm curious to know how you have made that pivot. And then we certainly want to talk about this program that you've got about these women entrepreneurs and chefs that have some initiatives out in Los Angeles. So those are the two topics we're going to have when we come back after the break. I'm talking Ms. Kim Prince. She's the co-owner of Nashville Hot Chicken out in Los Angeles. You're listening to WID Wake Up.
We now return back to Grow Your Business Today with Darwell Rogers.
And thank you very much. Welcome to the second half hour of the Grow Your Business Today program. I want to remind those folks that we do have a building business rally event coming up on Tuesday. It's going to be from noon to 1 o'clock. It's going to be virtual given the issues with COVID. If you are a business in our community and is interested in selling products or services to some of the major procurement entities in the community, for instance, on Tuesday, the City of Hope Mills is going to be presenting. Go to the website fadebiz.com and look for the Building Business Capacity Rally information. I'm pleased to have with me on the air and on my Facebook page, Zoom, via Zoom, Ms. Kim Prince. She's the co-owner of Hotville Chicken out in Los Angeles in the Crenshaw, Baldwin Hills area. And Kim, before the break, I had asked the question, how have you managed through the pandemic? You started in December 2019 like gangbusters, and then all of a sudden COVID hits. And I know, because knowing so much about the restaurant business and the like, it had to have been a challenge. So how have you managed through it?
Whew, I always say I'm trying to keep from crying. The pandemic, like you said, 3 months into our grand opening at our current location at the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall, we took off like a rocket. It was wonderful. The numbers were wonderful. The volume that we did was amazing. And then we get notification midway into March that indoor dining had to be shut down. Our dining room is our pride and joy. We put a lot of energy and effort. We got that turnkey space to Nashvilleize it. The music, the ambiance, that whole setting is very much of making people feel at home. And to have that stripped away from us and have to put chairs on top of the table is very heart-wrenching. However, our pivot was to go back into pop-up mode. By that I mean we had already operated for a few years as a pop-up, so the transition from our menu and costing wasn't as complicated as some other full service restaurants may have been. But for us, we scaled our hours down. Being on the mall property, we had to scale our hours down. So we took 2 hours off of our operating schedule. And the other thing that we did was we partnered with the community. It was necessary for us to quickly, and thankfully we got contacted by our council member who had an emergency meal program for seniors who were homebound. We adopted that program, and even though the meals were discounted, we were able to maintain some pretty decent numbers by bringing that program on board. So we delivered meals to senior citizens in our community for 13 weeks. We did that from mid-March all the way through June, actually. And we've done some similar projects like that. I am a partner with goodeats.org. That particular organization actually was founded in New York City, but they contacted me with a local chapter rep. And so we've been feeding elementary age, school age children with that, which started in the summer. I think latter part of June, and started doing that. And that's continued all the way up through this past December. And we've got some future dates coming up. We'll be feeding those young people because those young people are not on campus anymore. And I found out that many of the children in the area, that was the only, not just solid meal, but that was the only meal that some of those young people would get a day. And as a result of hearing that news, I mean, I couldn't help but join in and partner with goodeats.org to make sure that those young people were eating. So that's been a very successful program for us. So that was another pivot that we did. The next thing that we did at the end of March, after closing the dining room down, our takeout and our delivery, we didn't have delivery the first 3 months of being open. So I did an exclusive agreement with Postmates to handle our delivery platform. And that has worked out very well for us. I'm glad that we engaged them. And I found that it was not only necessary, but it was just helpful to give us a little bit of balance, because instead of people sitting and eating at our dining room table, they're still eating our food at their own table. So it was just kind of a little exchange. And that's how I chose to look at it. One of the other pivots was changing my mentality. I had to be positive, which opened my mind to be able to think creatively and to come up with, promotions and ways of getting out to the community to make sure not only that we keep the brand relevant, but we just wanted the exposure, and in turn, focusing on making sure that our product was good and that we provided excellent customer service. The word got out, and it just repeats itself. People tell somebody. When you like something, you tell somebody about it, right? And then as a result of that, we've just been blessed with the favor of the Lord. We have been able to make sure that our media exposure, it happens. I don't fish for it. Somebody asked me the other day, "Hey, Kim, who's your publicist? You have a PR agency that works for you?" I said, "No." Trust me, the pandemic.
When you have good product, you've got good customer service, and you've got an open heart for folks, and you've got all of those, then things, good positive things, prayer, good things come your direction.
Absolutely. I mean, when CNN contacted us, I didn't know a soul at CNN, but that contact came by means of our partnerships and work that we've done with a local EDC called Vermont Slauson Economic Development Corporation. There is a SBDC that's called Pacific Coast Regional, very helpful in making sure that we got our PPP funds. It was complicated trying to get the PPP back in the spring when everything first happened, when it was first announced. I mean, we spent weeks and weeks just waiting with bated breath trying to get that PPP loan. And then PCR contacts us, and within days, I mean, literal days, it was not hard at all. They made sure that they held our hand through the whole process, and those funds hit our account right away. And we were able to get caught up on bills. And I didn't want to stress out about being behind or not able to make payroll. I sacrificed my own income to ensure that my employees were able to eat, so that they got their paychecks, because I didn't want them to go lacking. And plus I'm surrounded by chicken every day anyway, so I wasn't skipping a meal.
Right.
But
right.
We wrote a lot of grants. That was another thing. I include that in the pivot as well, because typically and traditionally, restaurants do not operate off of grant funds. I talked to so many different restaurant owners who have never written a grant or applied for a grant before. So we've donned these different hats of not just being restaurant operators and chefs in kitchens, but we've had to take on this additional skill of having to be able to write and secure funding for yourself. Luckily for us, we've been able to secure some funds that I'm excited about. Just got a grant award letter this morning via email. Another grant was announced earlier this week we received. And so there's about 3 grants that we're actually going to be getting this month, and they're right on time. You know, you never know with the grants that are announced, and some of them are national, some of them are local and state funds that when they announce it, you got to jump on it because they're first come, first served. You don't know how sometimes they feel like it's a lottery pick, but I carve out that time to make sure that we're applying for those funds while they're available. And fortunate for us, we've been able to receive some. There's some that I wrote 6-7 months ago I haven't heard. I don't know if we'll ever get those particular funds, but I'm glad that we've gotten what we've received so far.
We're talking
So
to Kim
like
Prince, the co-owner of Hotville Chicken. The thing that you said, Kim, that I want the listeners to pay attention to was the fact that you had to pivot, and that really was a mental shift. I mean, more than anything else. Just speak a little bit about that whole idea, because you know this environment has caused everyone to have to do some reevaluation, and some people do it better than others. Just speak to that a little bit.
Sure. I'm a woman of faith. I pray, and when I couldn't go to church, now that we're open on Sundays, I don't get to make it to actual church house every single Sunday, but hiding the word in my heart and praying is something that I cherish, that type of time to be able to just talk to God about what I need and be thankful and thank him for what he's done for me. So my mindset, you know, when you get bad news, I'm one to just sit back and reflect. I pause. And when we were told that we couldn't have our dining rooms open anymore, and recently, this past November, oh, you can't have your outdoor patio anymore. You got to shut that down. And so I couldn't get angry. I wanted to be informed. That's one of the key things to being able to pivot is you got to make sure you're informed, check the resources around you, call, phone it in, ask somebody else. And so I'm one to do a lot of research. I read a lot. I make sure that I check in with our local health department. I check their feed. I'm looking at the CDC guidelines. I'm always reading about something. The California Restaurant Association, the National Restaurant Association, those advocacy programs. What are they saying about restaurants right now, and how the other restaurants around me, what are my colleagues doing? In addition to getting on my knees and praying for wisdom and how to make our next step. So those are the mental shifts that I did, the things that supported mental shifting. I get out and walk in the morning as much as I can. You got to get some rest. You definitely have to get some rest. And then I write things down. That's the other thing. I always share with some of the mentorship programs that I'm involved in. I share with young people who want to become entrepreneurs that you got to always have pen and pad by your side. You got to get up and write it down. It's really, really key.
I agree. So let me ask you about this. Is this thing described as this event called 10 Days Reher? Am I pronouncing that right?
No, it's regarding her. So it's regarding her.
Regarding her. Okay. I see the two things. Those are the little flowers are okay. 10 days regarding her. So explain, tell my audience, I'm speaking with Miss Kim Prince. She's the co-owner of Hotville Chicken out in Los Angeles. What is 10 days regarding her?
Sure. So regarding her food is a website anybody can go to, www.regardingherfood.com. We are a organization of over now, it started off with about 10 women, and now it's grown to well over 100 women collaborating here in the city of Los Angeles. We not only collaborate with one another, but we also support. We're looking to open up a grant fund as well. It's a nonprofit organization that just launched in December of 2020. So it's relatively a young organization, but I'm surrounded by women who have been in the restaurant industry for as long as a few months, as far back as four decades or more. So there's a lot of wisdom in the restaurant industry here in Los Angeles, and these women-owned restaurants have come together to form Regarding Her. The 10-day festival is launched just yesterday on January 21st, and it goes through January 30th. That 10-day festival is, again, a collaboration of thematic menus, different food specials, meal kits, virtual panels. I'll be participating in one next week. We've got, cooking classes online, and just cool swag and things like that that have the Regarding Her branding on it. I've never seen or been a part of a movement that has been as inspiring as Regarding Her as of late. The women, if I can name a few of them, Adina Sampson is the owner of Rosa Blue and Superfine Pizza here in Los Angeles. Leanne Ta from All Day Baby. There's Heather Sperling from Botanica. Mary Sue Milliken, she's somebody that I've long admired. Her food career spans a couple decades, and she's an amazing woman. Mary Sue Milliken on Socolo and Border Grill restaurants. There's Brittany Bricia, Sylvie Gabrielle. These are just a few of the women who were the founders of the board for Regarding Her, and I'm glad to be in good company with them. When they brought me on board in December, they told me they had this idea of a 10-day festival in January to mark the anniversary of the Women's March that happened in January of 2017. So that
Right.
Women's March was huge. Hundreds of thousands of women got downtown Los Angeles, and they marched for on behalf of women. And so that particular, when they told me about it, I said, sure, I would love to be a part of this. Tell me what you need me to do. And I rallied to try and find other women of color, women that look like me, who are restaurant owners in Los Angeles. And the downside of that was that I couldn't come up with a good way to use all 10 fingers. I couldn't find 10
Isn't that a
women
shame? That's something, right?
restaurant owners here in Los Angeles. I just had that conversation yesterday with another woman of color who co-owns a restaurant near my restaurant, and she had the same thing to say. We kept saying the same names over and over again. I remember reaching out to Greg Doolin and saying, hey, do you know any other Black women that own restaurants in Los Angeles? And he came up with the same names that I had already come up with. So I was like, we got to find a way to fish them out. We found that there are a lot of personal chefs, Black women who are celebrity chefs at that, caterers by the numbers. They were there, and just reaching out using social media to get them to sign up and be a part of Regarding Her was something that I endeavored to make sure happened, to provide them with not just a platform or stage to talk about being involved in the restaurant industry, but as a means to support them to get access to funds that'll be available. The sponsors that Regarding Her has been able to pull together for this 10-day festival, they keep coming in. The donations are pouring in. And so if your listeners want to support, feel free to go to the website, regardingherfood.com, check it out, just sniff through it. I'm sure you'll land on something that's going to be of interest to you. The other thing is that the same movement is actually taking shape around the country. So one of the Regarding Her Food was a part of the James Beard Foundation. They had a Let's Talk series over the summer, and the LA chapter was named Regarding Her Food. So I'm glad that the entity has taken a big step forward. The launch of the food festival yesterday was very successful for the restaurants that participated, and the numbers keep growing. I, in particular, if I may, I'll be participating on Sunday. My restaurant, Hotville Chicken, is going to collaborate with a restaurant called Love and Salt in Manhattan Beach, California. And we're doing what they call a boozy brunch. And so that particular restaurant is going to feature Nashville Hot Chicken and biscuits. And so I'm providing menu staple for them to be able to have my food at their restaurant, because due to COVID, people aren't really getting out and about like they would normally do. And they're going to feature that on their menu. And then the proceeds from those sales will go to Regarding Her. On Monday, I'll be participating in a pasta making class. Now, I'm a woman that fries chicken. I don't know anything about making pasta from scratch, but I'm going to sit down and take time to learn. And so Semolina Artisanal Pasta is doing meal kits where you can buy a pasta kit and you can purchase that in advance. They'll make sure that it gets delivered to you so you can participate in that pasta making class. So I'll be doing that on Monday evening.
Now, is that a virtual class?
It's a virtual class, yes. It's a virtual
that's
class,
awesome.
but they're going to be doing that cooking dinner step by step. So you get the meal kit in advance so you can have everything in front of you. And I'll be on camera with them from my restaurant, and they'll be walking me through the process of making pasta. And I'm sure to be laughing at myself because I don't know anything about making pasta.
And one of the reasons why I was curious is if it's virtual, I'm not sure if somebody was interested that they could logistically get that sent to them so that they could participate.
Yes, absolutely. They should definitely go to the Regarding Her Food website and look for the virtual classes that are listed and sign up, and then just do an inquiry. I'm sure that it's possible to be able to rush that meal kit to them, or they can participate just by watching and get the meal kit later, so they can do those same things at home. Plus, it'll be recorded and available at a later time. The other thing Hotville Chicken is doing on Tuesday the 26th is Taco Tuesday for us. And at my restaurant, as well as a restaurant called Socolo in Santa Monica, California. One of the board members, Mary Sue Milliken, and her partner, Susan Finnegar, their restaurant is going to feature tacos and taquitos from the Hotville Chicken secret menu at their restaurant. Again, there's people who right now, they're not leaving their community to travel to another one to eat. So the way that we're going to be able to provide that is people can order and have it delivered to them. They can order and pick it up at their restaurant and get Hotville Chicken's secret menu tacos and taquitos at their restaurant. So I got a lot of prep to do over the weekend. It's not selling any secrets or anything like that, but I have a process of being able to provide our chicken in a fashion where we can go over to another kitchen and they prep it up and be able to prepare those meals and sell it at their restaurant. And again, those proceeds are going toward Regarding Her food. The last event that I'll be participating in is a virtual panel, and we're going to be telling stories about African American women and their influence on the restaurant industry and the food industry. That is taking place on Friday the 29th at 3 p.m. So 6 p.m. your time. Toni Tipton Martin, who you know well, Toni Tipton Martin, she is a renowned author. She wrote Jemima Code. She also wrote Jubilee, which was just released at the latter part of 2019. Bestsellers and award-winning books that I'm happy to say that we actually sell those books, Jubilee at my restaurant. Toni Tipton Martin did a tribute to Nashville Hot Chicken, and she features my Aunt Andre Prince in her book. And when this food festival came up, that was one of the first people I wanted to reach out to. And I asked if we could do a virtual panel just to talk with her. And we enlisted a journalist named Danielle Dorsey, and she's a woman of color as well. She is one of the diversity editors for Thrill List, and she's going to MC this or moderate this particular panel with Toni Tipton Martin, and myself, and another woman who owns the South LA Cafe here in Los Angeles. Her name is Celia Ward Wallace. And we're going to get together and we're just going to talk about our influence on the food scene, and not just nationally, but particularly in Los Angeles. I've learned that there are so many women who have done major things. Like, you ever heard of golden bird chicken?
Have I heard of golden? Ask me. Come on, Mike Stennis was one of my boys growing up. How you talking about, do I ever heard of golden
Right.
bird fried chicken?
Exactly. So we're going to be talking about his
Have I
mother,
heard of
Mrs.
golden
Stennis.
bird? Have I heard of golden bird? Are you kidding?
Well, I'm sure your
But
listeners
listen,
may not have heard
I'm
of
gonna
golden.
I'm gonna have to cut you off, Kim. We could talk for a long time. We have reached the top of the hour. Okay. And I want to
Yeah,
congratulate you on not just the success of the business, but this clear commitment that you have to the community, which is so
thank you so
huge
very much.
at this point in time. And all the best to you going forward. You've reminded me I got to get to Tony. I'm going to get her on my radio show here at some point in the future.
Yeah,
But you have,
absolutely.
yeah, you have an outstanding weekend, and thanks so much for joining me this morning. And to my audience,
Thank
we'll
you so
see you
much for
guys next
having me.
week this time. All right. We'll see you next week this time. Have a great, safe weekend. You listen to WID Wake Up.